Okay, welcome back. So our goal for this part is to hopefully be the first to reach the Hubble Space Telescope. In the previous part, I believe we've pretty much established that Poland has just reached the information era, and that the way they did it was by getting to advanced ballistics, because that is cheaper than the other techs from the same kind of tier of the tech tree. So I think we do have a chance of getting to satellites. Chances are Poland is already working on satellites and will probably get there 1 or 2 turns before we do. But I do think that by chaining our golden ages together using our great artists, and by using the extra production from internal trade routes to Istanbul, we might just about be able to beat them to actually finishing off the wonder. So that is the goal, and I think that's pretty much essential for actually winning the science victory. And we also have a few other things that we can optimize. There are actually quite a few things that, well, you don't have to be perfectly optimal to win in Civ 5, and that also applies to Deity, but it does help a lot, and there are a lot of things you can optimize, and in this case, I've spotted a few other things that we can work on. So we should have really got coal a long time ago, not just for the fact that we have a factory in The Hague, but also because quite a few of these city-states are asking us to find some coal. So we've got Leventa, Bogota and Sidon. They're all asking for coal, so we can easily get a few extra friends by doing that, or at least preserve our current friendships, so that's definitely worth doing. And then on top of that, we can potentially get a couple of extra factories, which it's pretty late to do that, but it's probably still worth doing because we can't actually get to work on the spaceship parts yet, so it probably does make sense just to try and boost our production while we can. And that's probably more worth doing in Constantinople than building a mobile SAM, but we'll see. So Poland has quite a bit of spare coal. We're going to see what he wants for 5 coal. So he wants ivory. Let's see if we can get away with 7 gold per turn. Okay, not quite enough. Let's try 8. Okay, so he accepts 8 gold per turn. That's got to be worth it. We're still making a massive profit, and that's really going to speed things up at The Hague with the factory. And then Boudica has 3 spare iron. She wants 5 gold per turn and open borders. I think that's completely fine. So that takes us up to 0 iron per turn, but if we go and upgrade one of our frigates, that should free up just a little bit of iron, which should please the couple of city-states that want us to add iron to our trade network. However, something we need to do first is something that is going to make an absolutely massive difference, which is we need to build a harbour in our capital. And the reason for that is, once you research railroad, you don't actually need to build railroads, particularly not on a kind of island map. The big advantage of railroads is that when you connect your kind of minor cities to your capital, it increases their production by 25%. However, if you build a harbour, that also works too, and that actually connects all the other towns to your capital, which I thought we already had, to be honest. I'm not sure exactly what happened with Constantinople. If I had to guess, maybe something's gone wrong with the open borders. And with the situation with this particular hex right here, maybe that's the reason. I thought we had already connected them, but in any case, now that we've bought that harbour in Istanbul, we should actually get a 25% boost to production in both Constantinople and The Hague. And also Iconium and Ankara, because I think they both have harbours too, and even if they don't, we can actually get to work on a railroad. So I'm going to do that anyway, just because it does enable us to move things slightly faster between our 3 towns, which is not necessarily a bad idea. And that does leave us 6 gold short of being able to upgrade our frigate, but we should be able to do that next turn, and then the turn after we should have a couple of extra city-state friends. So let's just move on. Byzantium wants open borders. We're going to try getting 2 gold per turn. I don't think she likes us too much. Yeah, she doesn't like us enough to give us 2 gold per turn, so frankly, we're going to say no to that. Potentially screws her over a bit, but I think that's fine. Okay, so coal connected for Bogota, so I think we might have already been friends with them, but certainly it keeps us friends with them for a lot longer. We have actually connected iron, okay, so we only needed to just break even, I guess. That's interesting. The tourism situation, it actually looks like Poland is going a lot heavier into culture now than the Netherlands, but I think the Netherlands is still producing enough culture that they're going to prevent Poland from getting a cultural victory, and we also get a 3rd great artist, which is going to be awesome for chaining the golden ages. But yeah, I think we're actually pretty dependent on the Netherlands or Poland, whichever one of them is the weaker in culture, to prevent the other from winning a cultural victory. So in theory, everything might just be clicking into place here. I can't be sure, but it kind of looks like that might be the case. Now I'm pretty tempted to build a factory here, plus 10 production, plus 10% production, plus 4 production on top of that as a flat boost, and then 3 maintenance. But I think we should be able to probably keep up this this coal. So there's not too much else we can be doing. We can build a castle, which is going to benefit us when we get our wonder. That's probably the better short-term option, so let's go for that. And then we can see that we're friends with Sidon now. Friends with Laventa. Friends with Mombasa. And Kaisel too, and I think we've also got a spy in Kaisel as of the last part, so there should be quite a lot of extra culture potentially. We've got a few units we can move, so this guy we're just going to put to sleep. Our workers are working on the railroad, and we have now established our city connections to Istanbul once again, and we do now have a 25% boost to our production, so we can see right there, 25% boost from a railroad connection. There's no railroad at all, but it does actually work, so that's perfect. It's going to speed up pretty much everything else we're working on quite substantially, so kind of weird that we weren't doing that, because it does make a massive difference, but we were kind of getting away with it, I think, and now we're going to be even faster. We don't get the production boost in Istanbul, but I still think that's going to be the best place to build. Yeah, that's still going to be the best place to build the Hubble Space Telescope, so we're just going to carry on with that. Okay, the Huns have made peace with Boudica. I think he's still at war with the Netherlands, but if he makes peace with the Netherlands, that's going to be a little bit concerning. Also a bit concerning that, hang on, Panama City is in ore. Let's check out why. Scientists. Okay, so yeah, we're definitely catching up on science. There's no doubt. We've got the most techs in the last 30 turns. We're on our way to satellites. And yeah, it looks like the war between the Celts and the Huns, as far as I can see, absolutely nothing changed, unfortunately. So, a little bit concerned about the Huns. They do have one fewer enemy now. I think as long as they're still at war with the Dutch, they're probably not going to turn on us, but it's still slightly concerning. Elsewhere, I don't think we need to spend our gold on upgrading the frigate now, because we have, of course, already satisfied the city-states. Would be helpful to have a few battleships just for the sake of defense, but I want to try and save our gold for probably buying factories, so I think we'll just move on to the next turn. Okay, Casimir's completed the Pentagon. Let's have a little look. Might give us a little bit of insight as to what he's working on. So the Pentagon comes in at combined arms, so there's actually a good chance he's not going for satellites at all. We've got a new Great Writer, which is good. That's going to help us get to our next ideological tenet. Still a way off though, so once again we're just going to probably just park him somewhere else and leave him be for a little while. Cargo ship here, let's see what we're working on. So production to Iconium, that definitely makes sense. We're still working on quite a few basic things there. William has completed the Apollo program. I'm not too bothered about that. I think if anyone's a threat to us in terms of science, it's probably Poland. They're starting to attack Milan. I'm hoping Milan's going to hold out. Let's see, how far off are we? So we need 177 influence to overtake the Dutch as the ally of Milan, which is just not going to happen. So small chance that Poland could take that over and we lose a bit of culture per turn, but I think we just have to risk that. Elsewhere, we're only one turn away from finishing the research lab in Ankara, and we're 6 turns away from finishing the wonder in The Hague. Now I can potentially swap this over. We do have the extra production boost, so we can start working on the factory. It only takes 5 turns, and I think it does make sense just to do that. Have to remember to finish off the mobile SAM once we finish working on that, but still. And I think we're working all the science specialists we can, so let's just carry on, and let's keep this guy going too. Okay, research lab is done in Ankara, so I think we'll go for the factory. Even the military guy is recommending that, despite the fact we have an absolutely pitiful military, so I'm going to take that as an endorsement of going full production instead of into more defense. A little bit risky, but I honestly don't think that building a few extra units at this stage is going to be enough to protect us if one of these guys does attack us. And we do have an extra militaristic city-state friend now, so hopefully we'll be gifted another unit at some point. Still 7 turns of satellites, but I'm increasingly confident that Poland is not necessarily working on it yet, so we're going to see how that goes. Attila has entered the atomic era, so he's a full era behind the Polish, and I think he's behind us now as well. Okay, upcoming session, we've already given away our vote for that, and we're going to finish our castle next turn. Otherwise, pretty quiet turn, we're going to move on to the next. Okay, Attila's plotting against us. This is concerning because I was hoping that Poland and the Dutch were going to do a bit more damage to him. I think, just to be safe, we're going to have to turn at least one more player against him if we can. Failing that, we're going to have to send him after someone else. Maybe Assyria again if we can. I feel like we've got enough money per turn that we can probably make that happen, but yeah, I'm probably, even though Poland is a much bigger threat to us, I'm definitely more worried about the Huns than anyone else, because the Huns is probably the most likely player to get bored and try and wipe us out. Casimir's completed his first booster, which is pretty bad because we haven't even finished the Apollo program yet, but we are very much depending on the Hubble telescope to actually win us the game. And I feel like we have a good shot at that, so I'm not going to panic just yet. The other thing about the AI is, although they do get to work on some spaceship parts pretty early, they don't necessarily try to finish them all off at the same time, so we might still just about get away with that. Wheel of the King Day has ended in Ankara. It's still growing fairly nicely. Let's see what else we can do. So we finished the castle in Iconium. That's hopefully going to get a nice big boost once we finish that wonder. I'm tempted by a bank, but I think we're just going to work on a factory. And we're probably going to buy a factory in Istanbul just because it's going to help us to complete the Hubble telescope a little bit sooner. Okay, so we're now the ally of Colombo, so successfully rigging that one. And we're also rigging a few others pretty well. But in this town, it looks like someone else is going for them, so probably not worth our spies' time. Let's see what else we can do. Sidon looks like it's about to fall to the Dutch, which is bad because they're a pretty good friend of ours, and they could have given us some more units. I want to see if we can find another militaristic city-state. Try to become friends with them instead. So it looks like they're actually the only ones on the map, which is a problem. So if we're relying on them to gift us units, that's not going to work. We're going to have to pick someone else. We're going to have to move our spy on too, I think. Actually, hang on a minute, I stand corrected. We didn't have a spy in that town at all, so that just means that someone else's spy is working on it, which is fine. I'm not too bothered about that. We've supplanted Poland as the ally of Colombo, which is good because they are right next to Poland and the Dutch, and they could have potentially fallen at some point, so it's good to have an extra ally. And that also, I think, gives us access to their iron. Yes, it does. So we've got 2 iron now, and we've also got a bit of extra aluminium. So if we can hold on to them, that would be perfect. Don't think it's worth spending our gold on. We do have just enough gold to buy the factory, so let's do that. And then we have 85 gold per turn to potentially persuade someone else to go to war with Attila. So let's have a little look at the diplomacy overview. Let's see what's going on with Attila. So he's still at war with the Netherlands, but there's pretty much nothing actually happening with that. We can't really set him against the Celts because they have a peace treaty, and there's not really anyone else nearby that's going to help us. I'm going to try getting Poland to attack him. I don't think they're going to make too much of a difference, but I do just want to keep Attila as busy as possible. They probably still have... No, they don't still have a peace agreement. They want 4 oil. I'm sure they'll probably take gold instead. Okay, so they'll take 7 gold per turn. Go to war with Attila. That's going to keep him nice and busy for a little while. And we'll just end the turn and let them get on with it. I don't actually remember pledging protection to Kabul, but I'm obviously not going to try and antagonize Poland, so if that means we've revoked something, I think that's fine. We're friends with them, but we're not exactly allies with them, and I don't think we're trying to become allies with them, so I'm not worried about that. We are just about to finish off the Apollo program. We've already bought the factory, so we should be ready to start moving on to the Hubble Space Telescope pretty quickly. Okay, Apollo program is done. We've also got a factory in Constantinople. So if there's not too much to be doing now, we could potentially get the lighthouse just for a bit of extra happiness, but if there's not too much to be doing now, we probably can start putting together a bit more of a defense, because we are very weak, and I'm very conscious of that. Even though we've got pretty much everyone at war, and that's I think that's probably going to keep us safe. I think we can definitely do more just to keep ourselves alive, so we should probably put a little bit more effort into that. Obviously a bit of extra happiness from a lighthouse would be good, and we can get that in one turn, which is nice, but I think we have to play it a little bit safer. So I'm going to finish off that mobile SAM in Constantinople since we've already done most of the work on that. And what the hell? I definitely didn't mean to click on that. I don't know how I managed to do that. Okay, Istanbul, let's see. So we can build a seaport. I'm not sure if that's going to help us too much. +1 production and +1 gold from sea resources worked by this city. Yeah, I think that's the perfect type of thing to work on for just 2 turns, and then we'll be pretty close to finishing off satellites. And with just about everyone being at war, I think we're fine just to keep skipping through the turns. Okay, we've got our new great scientist in Constantinople. I think it's a little bit... It's probably a little bit late. Well, we could get satellites immediately, which is of course very tempting, but I don't think we actually need satellites as a precursor to any other spaceship parts, so I think we should just wait that out for 2 more turns, and we should be able to check this. So yeah, it's still 10,588, and it looks like Poland isn't currently working on anything like that. So at absolute worst, he's going to be 1 turn ahead of us when he finishes it off, and I'm pretty confident we can then finish off the Hubble Space Telescope before he can. So yeah, we're going to put this guy just here for now, and we're going to activate him probably once we have gone satellites, but not just yet. And then elsewhere, our faith has failed to impress the Vatican, which is fine, I'm not too bothered about that, but our swift technological advancement has impressed Sidon. That's unfortunate, because we already know that they're probably about to get wiped out. They're kind of hanging on. We need 51 influence to overtake Poland as their ally. In theory we could do that with 1,000 gold, but we're some way off, so yeah, I think unfortunately that is going to go down, so we can't really make too much use of that. And then this guy, I think these two are blocking each other off. No, it's great artist here. Okay, that's fine, we're going to move this guy over to here. And we're going to finish off the railroad. I think we're already benefiting from the production bonus to these 2 towns, but it's still useful to have it just for the sake of moving units very quickly between these 3 towns. And then this guy is all free, so I'm going to put him back in Iconium and put him to sleep. Attila wants to renew the salt deal for pearls, but I'm pretty sure we did have a town that's requesting marble, so we're going to do that instead. That might give us an extra We Love the King Day. And then we've successfully got the wonder I wanted, so perfect. That's +3 gold, +2 culture, and +1 happiness from every castle, in addition to the base effects from the building itself, so that's awesome. And then in Istanbul, we've just finished off the seaport, so we're now getting 4 gold per turn from each of our 2 sea resources, in addition to a bit of extra production, so we're just about up to 100 production per turn, just in time for the satellites, and I'm pretty confident we can get that done before anyone else. Let's have a little look. So it's still 10,588 per turn, and that suggests that no one else has yet researched that. Advanced ballistics, as we know, has already been done by Poland, but I'm pretty sure we can actually keep up with him, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. These guys, I think we've already committed some, potentially. It's probably too late to trade our votes now. I don't really want to ban wine. I don't really have a strong opinion on any of this. Yeah, it's too late for us to give away any more votes, so I'm just going to vote for what Poland wants for the sake of keeping them nice and happy, and keeping them on side. And then this town now has a bit of extra production, so let's see, what can we do? So we're doing fine for happiness, but I think from looking at our faith, we're at a point where an extra shrine might just about push us over the edge to be able to buy something like a great engineer. So we're going to go for that. And then over in Istanbul, we've not got too much to be doing on this particular turn, so I think we'll just finish off a temple for the same reason. And then Constantinople is free to keep working on units, which I think is the best thing we can do with it right now. So let's just go for probably not rocket artillery, because we need aluminium for our spaceship parts. So let's go for something that doesn't require any precious resources, or we could afford to give up a little bit of oil. I think that would be fine. Still, I think the safest option is going to be either artillery, or probably not artillery, that's slightly outdated. I think the safest option is just going to be extra mobile SAMs, so let's get one of those. And then we do have a few free great artists, but we're going to put them to sleep because I think next turn is the time to kick that off. But we do have this guy, and if we write a political treatise, that's going to give us an extra social policy next turn, so that's all good. And then this guy, we're just going to skip that one turn. And I don't think the rest of our units are going to be doing too much. Let's just move these. This is a nice defensible location, so we're going to put him there. Should protect us. Even if Poland does end up taking Byzantium's 2 cities, it's going to have to push through our zone of control in order to take Constantinople. So that's probably the best thing we can do with that. And then 283 gold in the bank is not an awful lot. We can't really do much with that, but we can see we've had a massive boost to our gold income as a result of finishing off that wonder. And we should be good just to finish off the tech. William wants our pearls, so we're going to ask him for 240 gold, which he accepts, and that's a nice big boost. Potentially could invest that in keeping Colombo on side. Or if Sidon's still alive, I wonder if we could perhaps kind of usurp Poland as their ally. Okay, so Sidon's actually recovered a little bit of health, which is very encouraging, because I'm hoping we're going to get a couple of extra units from them at some point. We can build the SS cockpit, which is good. I'm probably going to do that in Constantinople, so I'm not going to work... Well, I guess we can finish off the mobile SAM, that should be fine. We can get to work on the Hubble Space Telescope. It's going to take 17 turns. Hang on, that's the wrong place entirely. Okay, so in this town, we're going to get the temple. And then over in Istanbul, we're going to get the Hubble Space Telescope. It's going to take 12 turns, but if we kick off a Golden Age, that should drop. Yeah, it's dropped to 11 turns. And as far as I'm aware, we're the only ones who currently have satellites, so I think it's definitely doable. And then we can start really kind of boosting our science. I think advanced ballistics has to be the next thing we go for. There is some argument for getting the medical lab, just because that is going to help us a bit with our science. At the same time, though, atomic theory does give us 2 extra science from each academy, so I think we'll start just by kicking that off. Okay, let's see. So we got some uranium, that's good. Let's see what happened to the World Congress. So wine is not banned, that's good. That keeps a bit of extra happiness for us. It seems like most of the better civs on the map did want historical landmarks to pass, so they should be pretty happy with us for voting for that. We're not giving Casimir as much gold anymore, and that means we have a pretty huge amount of profit actually. And then we have a free tenet which we can spend on any of this stuff, and I think Hero of the People, extra 25% boost to all our great people production. It's going to be really handy, so let's go for that. Cargo ship, we're just going to keep sending food to Istanbul. Yeah, I think that's fine, although could change it to production, and I think now is the perfect time to change it to production, so we're going to do that instead. That drops it down to 9 turns, and we found some uranium over in Iconium, so let's go and start working on that. Not sure what that's going to give us. I think it's going to give us a couple of extra production. And we've also got some uranium from Colombo, so that's perfect. We can potentially build quite a few nukes with that, which if nothing else should help us to scare off our opponents if they want to attack us. Sidon is slowly recovering its health, so I think if we give it maybe 3 or 4 more turns, we should be able to buy them off as a new ally, and hopefully get a few extra military units as a result. Casimir's made peace with William. That's pretty bad, but they are both still at war with the Huns, so I'm hoping that's going to enable them to focus a little bit more on wiping the Huns out. It does appear that they're about to lose one of their towns, so that's good. World leader proposal, I could definitely use this to my advantage, I'm sure. I don't particularly need open borders from them, but I'm willing to give them my own open borders because I don't think it matters too much. I don't think it risks our security or anything like that. So yeah, let's go for that. Could have gone just straight up for 60 gold in hindsight, but never mind. Making a really good amount of profit now. Okay, so if we build a mine here, we get a net total of +1 production, which is not great. And I think Iconium does benefit from the food. In fact, Iconium's actually become a fairly strong town, all things considered. It's not doing too badly, so I think we can be pretty happy with that. It's still going to be growing even if we do replace the farm, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. And then over in The Hague, I think most of our towns are doing more important things right now. So let's just go for the Manhattan project. And I'm not sure what the situation is with the SS cockpit. We should be able to build that. Okay, I see now. So SS cockpit actually counts as a unit. It takes 17 turns, but we're still more than 17 turns from completing the game. It's going to take some time to transport one of these things from Constantinople all the way to Istanbul. So I think it's fine to start working on it there, and then the two kind of more important spaceship parts, or the kind of later on spaceship parts, we're going to build in Ankara and Iconium, just so we can get them to Istanbul that little bit quicker. But I think for now, 17 turns is probably pretty doable, so we're going to accept that. And then this guy, it says he can't complete the route. I'm not sure why that is. We can see that, I think that's the... Is that the Hubble Space Telescope? I guess it is under construction there, that's interesting. But our worker apparently can't complete the route. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I guess technically they were already connected by railroad, so that's probably just job done as far as I can tell. I'm going to put him to sleep, and we're just going to move on. Okay, Poland's denounced the Netherlands, so I'm hoping we'll be able to set them back at war with each other soon. Elsewhere, it looks like the Huns are going to lose their first town, so that's great. Oh wow, we can see an absolutely huge navy moving towards the Huns, but then they immediately make peace. So now there's a huge Dutch navy right outside The Hague. That is really scary, and I don't think we could possibly handle that if that decided to turn on us. Okay, so what can we do? So he's made peace with both of his enemies. We're gonna need to send him to war with someone. That's absolutely not optional. And we know he's a backstabber too. Okay, so William's gonna need a total of 39 delegates in order to win a diplomatic victory. He's tying currently with both Poland and the Celts, so I think we can probably use that as a bargaining chip. I don't really mind too much if he wins the first vote. I don't think he's really on track to actually win the world leader vote. So if we offer to vote for him, he's going to go to war with Assyria, and that should at least keep him busy with that massive navy. So I think we kind of have no choice but to go for that, because that would completely wipe out The Hague, probably in the space of 2 turns or something. So we definitely need to just send him after pretty much anyone. We're going to work Ankara on an arsenal just in case he does somehow decide to attack us anyway. And apart from that, I think we're just about okay. We're 1 turn away from being able to bribe Sidon. And I think that's probably going to be the best use of our gold, just so that we can get a few extra military units from them. Okay, so next turn begins, and we can see that we need a total of 52 influence to overtake Poland as their ally. So we're only going to be very slightly ahead if we do this, but I still think it's got to be worth it, just so we can get a few extra units from them, plus should keep them nice and safe if someone else does decide to attack them. And then with our leftover 180 gold, we got just enough to upgrade a cannon into artillery, and I think it's definitely time. Everything that's not working on spaceship parts and things like that currently, I think we do need to start working on just building up some kind of defense. We don't necessarily need to be winning any wars, but we just need to be able to hold our opponents off for just a few turns, just in case they do turn on us. Okay, the Dutch fleet has moved off to the west. I'm guessing that's the best way for them to get to Syria, so that's good. And we can now see that the cost of satellites has gone down to 10,181. Now I'm interpreting that to mean that because I've researched it, the cost has gone down, but that doesn't necessarily mean that. There's a chance that someone else has researched it. It looks like someone's gone into telecommunications, so I'm still hoping that we're definitively ahead of Poland when it comes to working on the Hubble Space Telescope, but there's still a slight risk there. We're only 5 turns away, so we'll see what we can do. And we're going to accept that deal once again. I can't believe she's still paying 2 gold per turn for horses. I don't think she can even do anything with them, but as long as we're making a bit of extra money, of course I'm more than happy to accept that. Casimir still wants 9 gold per turn for wine. I feel like we're pretty good friends now, so let's try 7. Doesn't quite work. Okay. Yeah, still wants 9 per turn, so going to have to accept that. Okay, so we've already given away our vote for the world leader, so we'll ignore that. Friendship declaration with Poland has run its course, we need to be renewed. And friendship declaration with the Netherlands likewise. Okay, so I would like to be friends with both of them. They're not currently enemies of each other, so I'm going to try and kick that off right away. I think it should make it slightly less likely that they betray us. Let's see if this works. Okay, so good. Got Poland back on side straight away, and I'm assuming the Netherlands is going to be relatively happy too. I don't think they like us quite as much, but we'll certainly have a go. Perfect. Okay, so they're both slightly less likely to betray us, not necessarily completely safe with them, but that's definitely some kind of progress. And then over here, I think we've not got too much to be working on. I think going for a bank probably does make sense. We could also go for some military units, but I think going for gold also makes sense. We're going to ultimately use that on the same type of thing. And something else I want to check is what's currently going on with our specialists. So We could have actually worked quite a few extra citizens in our specialist slots. We do get +2 science per specialist as well, which is something I'd kind of neglected to pay attention to. So let's see if this makes any difference. So 4 turns currently. If we drop everyone into specialist slots, it stays at 4 turns, and it massively slows down our growth, but it also increases our science quite a lot, so I think that is worth doing. Okay, great, we've got our first unit from Sidon, and Wellington is in awe of us. I'm not sure exactly why that is. Let's see. Because of our technological advancement once again. These guys are, I think, the unique unit of Brazil. They're effectively just infantry, but they have 70 combat strength, which is pretty decent. So that's definitely going to help us to defend one of our towns, ideally from a land-based assault. Still, definitely useful to have. We're 1 turn off nuclear fission, and we're 3 turns away from finishing the Hubble Space Telescope. We've also had someone steal ballistics from Istanbul. That's fine, I don't mind people stealing my techs because it means they're behind me in tech. We don't actually have a spy in Sidon, so I'm also going to move to there just to ensure that we keep them as an ally. And apart from that, I think we're good just to keep moving through the turns, at least until someone makes peace with someone else. Okay, we've got nuclear fission, which enables us to build the atomic bomb. And at exactly the same time, Ankara is now free to work on something else, so it's definitely tempting to get the atomic bomb. It should help us to defend. We need the Manhattan Project first, of course, so actually we can't do that yet. I need to finish it off in The Hague. But in the meantime, we're going to get the temple, because as far as I'm aware, even though Eastern Orthodoxy is... No, it's not extinct, so it's still going. It's the holy city for Eastern Orthodoxy. So we should be able to build the Grand Temple here. It only takes 3 turns, and it's +8 faith per turn. So I think as far as peaceful buildings go, that's still worth going for. Otherwise, I'm going to start spending some of my gold on upgrading these units. So crossbowmen into the next tier only takes 220. And we definitely want to keep upgrading our cannons, because they will definitely get a lot better if we do. Can't seem to upgrade our privateers yet, but I think we will be able to later, so that's probably fine. Upgrading these guys into battleships is pretty expensive, and it does use up some of our oil, but we're not really using the oil on too much, and I think The Hague is potentially pretty threatened by both the Huns and by the Netherlands, so I'm still going to go for that. And then these guys are free. They've finished off picking up the uranium, so we're up to 6 uranium now, which is great. Should enable us to build a few nuclear factories, or whatever they're called. Need to send these guys off to do something once again. So The Hague is very much struggling for food, naturally, so we're going to keep sending the food there. And we are now just 2 turns away from the Hubble Space Telescope. I'm pretty confident that Poland is not going to beat us to it. But just to absolutely ensure they're not going to give us any trouble, let's see if we can send them into another war. Okay, so he wants a lot to go to war with Boudica. That's definitely not an option. I could send him after Assyria. The problem is, I think that could potentially just completely doom Assyria, and yeah, he still wants quite a lot for that, so... He is still at war, I believe. Not been paying super close attention, but... Yeah, he's still at war with the Huns, so I think we're fine for now. He does have a huge mass kind of on our western border, but I'm assuming most of that is just on its way over to attack the Huns, so we're not going to worry too much just yet. We're going to keep going through the turns. Okay, yeah, it looks like the Navy is on its way to the Huns, so that's perfect. They should be able to do a little bit of damage with that, I'm hoping. I wouldn't be at all bothered to see Attila just completely crumbling at this point, because I think if anyone's going to betray us, it's probably going to be Attila. Okay, and the good news is he's still not built the Hubble Space Telescope, so we're 1 turn away from finishing that off, also 1 turn away from finishing off a bank and a temple, so it could be a really huge turn for us coming up. We've got some artillery here, which we're just going to put on guard. These guys are free once again, and yeah, production to Ankara is definitely worth doing, because that's going to be able to really quickly move spaceship parts over to Istanbul. And then the battleship here we're just going to put to sleep for now. Gatling gun is fine, and these guys, we can't quite afford to upgrade them, so I think we're good just to sit on our gold for the rest of this turn. Okay, so this is going to be it. We're relying on Poland not finishing off the Hubble Space Telescope on this turn. If they do, we're in pretty serious trouble. But if they don't, I think we have a really good shot at the science victory here. Oh wow, oh my god. That really made my heart drop when I heard that sound, but he's finished the Great Firewall, not the Hubble Space Telescope. the Great Firewall. William finishes the CN Tower, but we're the only ones working on the Hubble Space Telescope, so we've got it in the bag. That was incredibly scary. But I think just that one turn could be absolutely key to us winning the game. There we go. Amazing. So we're back up to 1,000 face, so we can get a great engineer potentially. I'm not sure I particularly want to, but we've got 2 extra great scientists, which we can now immediately dump into finishing off advanced ballistics. So yeah, let's try and do that because that's going to help us get a couple of extra spaceship parts. We should have another one somewhere. Yeah, we've got another one here, so let's start moving towards the next spaceship part. So we're going to need particle physics, which is going to require penicillin and ecology, both of which are going to help us with science in other ways. So let's start moving in that direction. Okay, we've spent the second one, that gets us penicillin immediately, and we've made a good start on ecology too. Okay, so let's have a little look now at the demographics, see if we're probably not first on science. No, we're second on science. We're behind Poland still, but I think we have a really good chance of catching them up now. So I think we've done enough for this part, guys. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.